All right, guys, we are back once again, and man, are Xenoblade fans eating the most premium quality of awesomeness that Monolith Soft can serve up in their 5-star restaurant, because Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has a new release date, has new information, has new footage, and this seems like it's going to be the best Xenoblade Chronicles game ever made, and finally top the technical prowess of what we saw with Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Nintendo Wii U, with Takahashi Team 1 fully working on this game, locked, ready to go. Been working on it for years now at this point, and man, I've got a lot to say here, but Nintendo has also provided some actual official details on the characters, on the story, on the battle system, and more with this game, and I want to make sure that we get all of that. So dot our I's, cross our T's, go over that. And with Xenoblade having a closer release date than we thought that it was going to be, I think I know what Nintendo's second half is going to look like, and some of the secret games that they'll be releasing and announcing on the Nintendo Switch this year in 2022. But before we get into anything, what's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell just so you can get all our videos when they drop, especially if you love RPGs and Xenoblade Chronicles. So let's go ahead and jump right into this here with the official information from Nintendo. So Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is now launching on July 29th. ahead of its previously announced September release window. So July 29th is the day. That is earlier than the previously planned September release window publisher Nintendo and developer Monolith Soft has announced. Now, a special edition will also be available via My Nintendo Store, which we'll talk about in just a bit here, which includes package artwork illustrated by Masasugu Saito, a full-color hardcover art book spanning over 250 pages, and a steel case. More details about the special edition will be announced at a later date. Now, I do want to add in, people are a little bit worried about the My Nintendo and how that can cause stock issues, but I think that this might be able to curb some scalping that is going on that went rampant with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 back when those launched on various different platforms. So maybe this is their way of making sure that it's only one per person, but we're gonna have to wait for more details. And of course, if you live overseas, My Nintendo isn't everywhere, so there might be different plans or just not released at all. But once again, more details will be available later. Now, next up, the latest details from Nintendo of America. The latest entry in the long-running role-playing series, which connects the futures of the two previous mainline Xenoblade Chronicles games, invites players to embark on an epic adventure with life as its central theme. In the game, players will step into the roles of protagonists Noah and Mio amid turmoil between the nations of Kiev and Angus. 6 characters hailing from those nations join forces to learn the truth behind their conflict and set their sights for Swordsmarch, a land pierced by a giant sword. The new trailer for the game reveals the background of the group's journey in Ionis, a vast and sublime natural world, and reveals new details about the battle system, and this is what we want to see here. But there are still some questions about the battle system that have not been answered, but we'll talk about that in just a bit. So, you can battle with up to 7 characters on screen. Like in previous Xenoblade Chronicles games, battles start by facing enemies directly in the overworld. Players can control Noah's party of 6, as well as additional characters they'll meet during the adventure. Each character has their own role in battle, which allows for diverse strategies. Class change. Noah is a sword fighter, specializing in close range attacks, while Mio is a Zephyr, drawing enemy attention while evading their strikes. Thus, each character has their own class with their own strengths. Progressing in the adventure, players can change characters' classes, creating a customized party, which we're going to go ahead and get into that because that is awesome as well. Now, here's the new gimmick or thing with this battle system: the new interlink system. Each of the tag team pairs, Noah and Mio, Lance and Senna, Inui and Tyon, can make use of the interlink system if certain conditions are met. They will then combine into a giant form, Ouroboros. Each Ouroboros has its own powerful moveset, and deciding when to transform can be the key to winning a battle. Now, 6 soldiers hailing from these nations join forces to learn the truth behind their conflict, setting their sights for a swords march, a land pierced by a giant sword, which we talked about. Now, Noah, one of the protagonists of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and a soldier of Kiev. Noah is also an off-seer who mourns for soldiers who've lost their lives on the battlefield. Lance, an ally of Noah's who wields a great sword that doubles as a shield. Inui, I'm maybe saying that wrong, a childhood friend of Noah and Lance who has a sharp tongue and rough personality. She specializes in healing her allies in battle. Mio, the other protagonist of this story. Mio is a soldier of Angus and an off-seer like Noah. Tyon, a tactician who fights alongside Mio using his smarts and insight, and Senna. This soldier is an ally of Mio and Tyon. Despite her petite figure, Senna wields immense physical strength. So they talked about this customizing and what you do and all of that, which again, it was just kind of formatted differently compared to Nintendo of America. But we have to talk about a few different things here. We have to talk about the changing class system, which is really cool because I like the fact that anybody can kind of do anything and it progresses and it kind of unlocks as you go along. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Xenoblade Chronicles X, where the main character has different branching pathways where you can go. So they're kind of tuning up a little bit of Xenoblade X for this game. Then also the interlink system also kind of reminds me of Xenoblade Chronicles X, and some of the life forms that were in Xenoblade Chronicles X that turned into the Ouroboros fusion system that they do have here. It looks really cool, and that's another new gimmick. It kind of reminds me of that and like the overclock system, like the overdrive system of Xenoblade X, where for a certain amount of time you can kind of go into the cockpit view of your Skell or your mech in Xenoblade X and just unleash devastating attacks. Very similar to what's going on here with the Ouroboros and the new interlink system with the tag team pairs and being able to transform or fuse into this. So I do love what they're doing, and they're very confident, it seems, when it comes to the actual combat flow, because from what I saw from the trailer, they actually still have the chain attacks, they still have the driver arts, they still have the tactics that you can even swap in between battle right then and there. And then they also open things up when you're the Ouroboros form or when you're doing different chain attacks. So this is an in-depth, complex, but also seems to be a bit cleaner system from what they've done with Xenoblade X and also from what they've done with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Torna the Golden Country. Now, they haven't talked about the blade combos and all of that and doing those type of things, but you can expect those can be in some way, shape, or form. But so far, so good. I'm liking what I'm seeing here. The game's story looks absolutely incredible, and it seems like it's really going to put together the trilogy of Xenoblade Chronicles. So I love that. The graphics in the game look great. I am not worried whatsoever about resolution or frame rate, because the last time Takahashi Team 1 got the money and resources to make their style of game with most of their employees, they made Xenoblade Chronicles X, and that game ran good and looked good on the Nintendo Wii U. Now you have an evolved engine from what they've done before, with Takahashi Team 1 all working on that, and their team size even getting much bigger from when they worked on Xenoblade Chronicles X. This game is going to look good and it's going to run good. Not saying that it's going to be perfect and not hitch at all, or it's going to run at 1 million frames per second or anything, but it's going to be much improved over Xenoblade Chronicles 2, because I saw that Torna was improved over that, albeit a smaller game. But now, once again, you have the whole team focusing on this next big Xenoblade game, so I am not worried whatsoever. But I am very excited about all of this here. When it comes to Xenoblade Chronicles 3, the fact that it's actually being pushed up to July 29th, well, that says quite a bit, which brings us into our next topic here, and that is the secret lineup that Nintendo has for the second half of 2022, because I think that they definitely have some games that they're going to be announcing that fans are going to be very happy about. So we'll put together a picture for you guys. So right now, what we know of in terms of games that are coming out on April 29th, Nintendo Switch Sports is coming out this month as of the time that I'm recording this video. Mario Strikers Battle League comes out on June 10th. Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes comes out on June 24th. Live Alive comes out on July 22nd. And Xenoblade Chronicles 3, of course, now comes out on July 29th. So they are packing multiple months with June and July with 2 first-party releases each. That is pretty crazy to do that. Why are they packing those months? Well, it's because they have other games that are going to be filling in the slots, filling in the time period for that, and they're like, man, we got to get these games out, otherwise we're going to run out of months when it comes to 2022, because we're doing something crazy for next year when it comes to potentially even having a new hardware announcement. Obviously, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 is coming, probably a new Fire Emblem is coming, so there's quite a bit to get into, but that's once again a video for another day. But let's go ahead and get into what we could be seeing. Now, Splatoon 3, that's a game that has a summer release, and I've been hearing people say a lot of silly things with this. They said summer. They did not say any type of month. So people say, oh, it got delayed to this, or moved to this, or moved to that. Yeah, you can speculate, but there is no delay since they have not announced when that game is coming. Now, if it falls outside of summer, then okay, it got delayed. But right now, all they said was summer, because when you say just a broad range, it gives you the mobility to move it around where you want to move it. Now, obviously, they did this for a reason when it comes to Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and moving that up. So some people are speculating that Splatoon 3 can be a September release. It'll take that slot. So really, August or September, both of those seem to be the ideal months for Splatoon 3. September is pretty much the cutoff when it comes to a certain day in September for summer to end. So I'm expecting Splatoon 3 sometime in August or September. Now, next up is Advance Wars 1+2, the reboot camp game. We don't know when that's coming, but it could be delayed a full year from the original release. So maybe that game comes at the beginning of December, or maybe it comes at some point after September. We don't know at this point, but yes, that's still another game. Next up is Bayonetta 3. This game is still 2022. Some people feel that it might be delayed, and that could be the case. It could be delayed, but then again, if it was delayed and that removes a game that's probably a second half game, why would you delay Xenoblade Chronicles, and why would you have multiple games like Mario Strikers and all of that packed into 2 months? 4 games in 2 months. That doesn't make sense if they felt that Bayonetta 3 was going to be off schedule or not launched. So I'm still expecting Bayonetta 3 to launch this fall, probably late October, right before Halloween. Now, next up, we all know this, it's Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. This game's for sure coming out this year because the Pokemon Company does not delay games that often or really at all. And I think that we can all safely bet that it's going to be a November 2022 title. They always launch Pokemon games, the big ones, in November. One of the exceptions is Pokemon Legends Arceus, but that's only because they have the next generation of Pokemon with this year, the next generation of new Pokemon and all that. So that's the reason why, and maybe it gave them some extra time when it comes to Pokemon Legends to get that game out. Plus, they had Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearls, so pretty much it had to fall into early this year to kind of space it out from the big new game, but also not put it too close to the previous game, although it was kind of close, but still, Diamond and Pearl, that's just a remake. Legends Arceus is actually a brand new game, so it makes sense there. Now, here are the big games that I know that you guys want to talk about, the rumored games that I think that are coming this year, especially with Xenoblade Chronicles 3 being moved up. Now, The Legend of Zelda HD Collection. This is going to include Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD and also Wind Waker HD. I think Nintendo has that game almost done or pretty much done, and it's dropping this fall on the Nintendo Switch. Another rumored game that I think that could be dropping as well is Metroid Prime 1, the remaster / remake. That game could be dropping. We've heard a lot of rumors about it. And of course, Metroid Prime 4 is dropping at some point, probably next year. So I'm guessing that they want to get maybe Metroid Prime 1 remake remaster out this year, and maybe something happens with Metroid Prime 2 and 3 next year. But that is a possibility that we see Metroid Prime 1 remaster remake coming out this year in 2022. Now, next up is a wildcard game, and it's only been rumored, and that is a brand new Donkey Kong title. This could be developed by Nintendo's main Mario Odyssey team that could be making this. Donkey Kong has somewhat fallen from grace in recent years. We haven't seen him around enough. We've just seen him playing sports titles and driving carts and all this. He needs his own game, and that new game could be developed by Nintendo's main Odyssey team. I think that they need to lift up the Donkey Kong franchise. They need to put it into 3D. We've heard about this game potentially being a 2D game, or maybe it's a hybrid between 3D and 2D. We just don't know at this point. We have no idea, but a Donkey Kong game seems to be being worked on, and I talked about this in a recent video as well. So we'll see what they end up doing. Whether it's a 2D game or it's a 3D game, we have to wait on that, but we need something from Donkey Kong, because remember guys, this is a multi-million selling franchise. There's been big, huge selling Donkey Kong titles. So Nintendo needs to get this franchise back up, and a brand new Donkey Kong with a brand new twist, maybe not in Retro's hands, but with different developers, can get some new ideas and pump some new life into the Donkey Kong IP. So what are your thoughts when it comes to 2022? What secret games or secret lineup do you feel that Nintendo could unveil and blow our minds? And what do you think about Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and what's going on with this game, moving it up, and the rest of the games that I talked about that should be coming out this year? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.